I was going through the comments of my first Vivid Revisit video and saw someone mention an animated series that had also aired on Teletoon, and was apparently obscure as well. I read the title of the show but didn't recognize it at first, until I did a quick search on YouTube. Suddenly, I was hit with a massive wave of nostalgia like never before. Yeah, something tells me that's gonna happen the more and more I keep making these videos. That being said, my name is Sami, and this is Vivid Revisit on Silverwing. So, what exactly is this show? Silverwing is a 2003 animated miniseries that's based on the 1997 Silverwing novel by Kenneth Oppel. The story follows a young Silverwing bat and his friends who struggle to find his colony after getting lost. It's a fantasy action cartoon consisting of 13 20 to 25 minute long episodes, with the first one airing on September 19, 2003 and the final episode on January 10, 2004 on Teletoon. It also aired on Toon Disney's Jetix block in 2005. The show doesn't seem to be available on any streaming site, but there are multiple DVD options out there. Too bad those options go from "damn, that's expensive" to "no, what the fuck, who would buy this?" But somehow the entire show has been uploaded multiple times onto YouTube without a takedown in sight. There is even one with all 13 episodes stitched into a single video and has about 270,000 views. So yeah, I ended up watching the show on YouTube. Please don't sue me. But anyways, I'm about to do a quick recap of the show while keeping spoilers to a minimum, so I'll avoid talking about the ending and other major moments. The show starts off with the main character Shade, a young runty Silverwing bat chasing after a moth. As he's about to catch it, another stronger young bat named Chinook swoops in and catches the moth for himself. Being annoyed by Chinook's bragging, Shade challenges him to see who would dare to glimpse at the rising sun, an act that is considered to be against the law set for the bats by the forest creatures. As the sun rises, Chinook chickens out and leaves Shade to look at the sun alone. Though Shade is mesmerized by the sun, he's soon attacked by an owl and barely makes it home alive. There, his mother as well as the rest of the colony are shocked, angered, and rightfully worried about how this little law-breaking runt might have just created a major problem. Later that night, Shade and his mother are called to meet with the colony's elders to discuss the situation. One of the elders, named Bathsheba, demands that they hand Shade over to the owls as retribution, but Frida, the head of the elders, who dons a silver band on her arm, opposes that decision. She takes Shade aside to a room that contains the whispers and stories of their ancestors to teach him about the history of the law. There he learns that long ago there was a great war between the birds and the beasts, and due to the bats not considering themselves as either, they remained neutral during the conflict. But after the war ended, both the birds and the beasts decided to punish the bats for not choosing a side, and banish them to the darkness, forbidding them from staring at the sun ever again. After the history lesson, the owls, aka the lawkeepers of the forest, arrive, led by General Brutus. Frida tries to reason with Brutus, but he argues that if they don't hand over Shade, they'll get their justice through other means. His owl soldiers then appear carrying flaming torches, which they use to burn down the home of the Silverwings. After Brutus leaves, Frida tells the colony that they have to start migrating early to Hibernaculum, a sanctuary where most of their males reside. As the bats take their long flight to Hibernaculum, Shade falls behind and ends up getting knocked off course due to a lightning storm. He lands on an island where he meets another lonesome young bat, a bright-winged outcast named Marina, who also has a band on her arm similar to Frida's. Wanting to learn more about the bands given to her by the humans, Marina agrees to help Shade find and reunite with his colony. But danger awaits as rumors of giant murderous bats begin to spread amongst the birds, leading General Brutus to interfere and declare the Silverwings as prime suspects. Will Shade and Marina reach the colony? Will General Brutus capture them? Or will the murderous bats catch them first? Stay tuned for the next episode. Same bat time, same bat channel! References. Throughout the story, we run into many characters. Other than our main two bats, Shade and Marina, there's Shade's mother Ariel, the wise elder and leader Frida, the mean and disapproving elder Bathsheba, the jock Chinook, General Brutus, his son and later Shade and Marina's friend Orestes, a blind bat named Zephyr.
My name is Zephyr.
And the two main villains, Goth and his brother-in-law Throb, as well as many more characters they meet down the line. When first watching the show, I was a bit surprised to learn that bats in America actually migrate. As far as I know, bats in my country don't. Also, there are a lot of fantasy elements that appear to be based on some real animal traits. such as the concept of sound mapping, which creates a 3D map inside a bat's head, as well as echo projection, which creates a 3D-like hologram that only other bats can see. But I don't trust my skills in finding accurate scientific facts to get into details about what might have inspired those elements in the story, so I should probably leave that for somebody else.
Wah! Maybe I can help.
Oh hey Dr. Nemo, you know anything about bats?
Truth to be told, it's not really my field, but I have done some research and I found some interesting facts that might show the real-life inspiration for some of those fantasy elements.
Cool, let's start with the realistic stuff like migration.
Migration is a type of behavior you'll see a lot in birds or fish. You don't really see it a lot in mammals, and that's because most of mammals are terrestrials. For terrestrial animals, migrating for hundreds of kilometers just for an increase of a few degrees in temperature is not very cost effective. But not all mammals are terrestrial. Some of them can swim, some of them can fly. And the only flying mammals are bats, and some of them do migrate. In the show, they mention the hibernaculum, which is a scientific term which defines a refuge where bats will overwinter. The protagonists need to migrate to the hibernaculum, and that makes sense because some bats do migrate to reach the place where they will hibernate.
Nice, now what about those fantasy elements like sound mapping and echo projection?
Clearly, bats cannot do that. But their abilities are based on real-life echolocation, which is a very sophisticated behavior where bats will emit ultrasound and then listen to the echoes of their calls. This allows them to determine the shape, the size, the texture, and even the speed of objects around them. Very useful for coordinated flying, preying, and also in avoiding predators in dark environments. So bats can create a mental map of their surroundings, but they would not be able to communicate it. Echolocation is a cool skill that is almost exclusive to mammals, including bats, whales, rodents, and even humans.
There is another thing that I kept thinking of when watching the show, and that's, I bet the original novel was a bit more brutal. Apparently the show toned down the darker elements of the book, and even added some new characters. The dialogue and structure of the show does feel like it's been simplified to make it as cohesive as possible for young children, which is a shame because I feel like the tone should be a bit more mature. Not necessarily in its violence, but in the way these characters talk and interact. Like how General Brutus sees war as the answer while his son wants diplomacy instead. That's a mature subject, but it's very basic in the way it's addressed. The main villains, Goth and Throb, are cannibalistic bats in the Vampirium spectrum from Central America. They manage to be menacing and entertaining, but are at times dumbed down to a generic kids cartoon level in order for our heroes to escape. The show wants to make Shade appear as clever to compensate for his runtiness, but doing it by dumbing down the villains is a bit cheap. Come to think of it, are some bats actually cannibals?
The spectral bats are the largest bats in the American continent. Their wingspan can reach 1 meter. Also, their bite is very powerful. To my understanding, they are not cannibals though. They do eat other species of bats, but as apex predators, they can essentially eat anything they want. Unfortunately, their population is decreasing, and this might be due to the destruction of their habitats, as well as their persecution for being associated with evil entities, which they are not. Did you know that the male would sleep occasionally with its wings around the mom and the pups? So cute.
Judging the show from the perspective of a cartoon specifically aimed at children, it's pretty damn good. It's a show that both kids and their parents can watch together, at least in my opinion. I found Shade and Marina to be pretty cute together, Orestes is a lovable nerd, his father Brutus is an asshole and so is Bathsheba, and the character of Frida was convincing in the role of the wise leader. Some side characters don't get as much screen time and development as others, but that's to be expected since there are so many of them. Ariel is simply displayed as the worried mother, and Chinook is shown to be more than just just a jock, but these two are kind of pushed to the side for the main story. I do wish Zephyr the Blind Bat had more screen time as well. He was pretty interesting, working as the bat traffic controller for migrating colonies, and has a mastery of echo projection. He was sort of the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the show for a brief moment. He did do something that confused me though. He created an echo projection of a bat to fool some pigeons chasing shade, but later in the show Orestes the owl is shown not to be able to see the projections, so Marina suggests that maybe bats are the only ones that can see them. So I'm guessing it depends on the type of animal and the way their biology registers sound? The lore of the show is interesting, but it seems that the characters' lack of knowledge about Goth and Throb species suggests that their own history is very centric to Northern America and their own land's vicinity. At first, when we learn about the war between the birds and the beasts, I thought that it was wider scaled, but after watching the rest of the episodes, it looks like the Great War simply took place in the area of the United States. So it appears that what seems to be grand to these animals might be very insignificant to humans. Also, quick question, does this sound like an owl to you? Cause it sounds more like an eagle or a hawk to me. I'm sorry, owls in my head sound more like hoo hoo instead of caw. I went to college.
Correct, that is not an owl's cry. This iconic cry that you find a lot in movies and media in general is actually the cry of the red-tailed hawk.
Silverwing utilizes both 2D and 3D animation, and for a show made in 2003, the 3D looks pretty good. Yes, you can definitely notice the obvious CG at first glance, but when you're watching the show from start to finish, the 3D ends up blending well with the hand-drawn animation. However, there is one scene where it looked particularly terrible, I won't lie. So like I said earlier, Goth and Throb are from Central America, and they have an Aztec/Mayan type religion where they believe in a giant bat creature named Zots that lives in the center of the earth. You can say it's their god, I say astaghfirullah, but Shade manages to create an echo projection of Zods and uses it to trick Goth and help him escape. And yeah, it looks straight out of the 1997 Spawn film. I mean, a bit better, but yeah. Apparently, the show was originally planned to be made into a theatrical movie with a budget of $25 to $30 million, followed by a $5 million TV show, but that never happened. Instead, we only got the single-season TV show, and even though a second season was announced, that also never happened. The character design is very anthropomorphic, more humanoid than Batanoid or whatever. It felt like it was a cross between Disney's Gargoyles and Zack Snyder's Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. Wait, oh no, for the love of all that is good, please don't make lewd furry art of Marina.
Naughty.
Oh god, it already happened!
I am a naughty bat. Such a naughty bat.
Well, final thoughts. I found Silverwing to be a really good children's cartoon that had a very easygoing viewing experience. But with themes such as war, pacifism, as well as the inclusion of religion and even cults, the show could have benefited from a more mature approach. That's not saying that it being a kids show is anything bad, it's just when you have cannibalism as an integral topic to the show's plot, making it kid-friendly is a bit weird. That being said, it is also weird that there aren't as many people talking about the show. I'm assuming it's due to its availability. So to the people with the distribution rights to the show, can you make the legal version more available? Or at least more affordable? Actually, can you do what Wayside did and have an official YouTube channel for it? It is already on YouTube and that's how people are watching it. But for now, I would like to thank you all for watching, and big thanks to Dr. Nemo for helping me out in this video. Link to his channel in the description. And if you like what you saw and you want to see more, you know what to do. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bat Furry!